Welcome to the Gottesdienst crowd, where we foster confessional integrity, liturgical preservation, and preaching that doesn't stink. We believe that the historic liturgy of the divine service is more than mere cobwebs of antiquity, but it is a true treasure of the Church, to be dusted off and brought down from her attic to be enjoyed. So let's get dusting.
Welcome back to the Gottesdienst crowd. This is Jason Broughton. Today we have back with us Dave Peterson. Welcome back, Dave.
Thank you.
Before we launch into our discussion of Matthew chapter 25 and the last Sunday of the church year, I wanted to tell you about something that, both Dave and I are going to be a part of, something that is actually kind of exciting to be a part of. It's called Memento. And this is a movement to reclaim masculinity within the church so that confessional Lutherans can rally behind it. So there are going to be leaders like Ben Ball, Heath Curtis, Giff Grobeen, Willie Grills, among others, because it seems to be that there's this urgent need for men to recover not only discipline and devotion in Christ, but just strength in general. So it's going to be the first men's-only Lutheran devotional, built to meet the challenges of the modern man head-on, using state-of-the-art technology, apps, so that it's easily accessible on your phone or computer, no matter where you might be. Memento restores the ancient disciplines of the church, like fasting, prayer, reading of the scriptures, and brotherhood. It'll be rooted in the liturgical calendar with daily devotions year-round. The goal is for 5,000 men to commit to this, to strengthen not only the men, but the church at a time when faithful Christian leadership is needed more than ever. So be on the lookout for Memento as it's being launched in the next couple of months. It's being spearheaded by Brian Stecker and on the line, so I'm sure you've heard him talk about this as well. But it's going to be an exciting time. Perhaps even this could be something that you could use to launch a men's group in your own congregation, or a discipline that you can put right in their hands during Lent. So Memento, be on the lookout. And you're part of this too, right, Dave?
Yeah, I'm writing a week of devotions during Lent, or for Lent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm in Easter.
I'm a little nervous about it. It's going to be, yeah, because it's gonna, because I'm going to have to do it. Not the devotions, the fasting and stuff, and it's going to be challenging.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm scared in a good way. It's a good scared. It's I don't think it's going to. Yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, you're anticipating the pain.
Yeah, and I've fasted. It's not like I've never done it, but I read through his stuff. It's pretty strict, and it's going to be challenging, but I think it'll be good for me, and I'm looking forward to it, sort of.
Yeah, in the way that you look forward to those kinds of things.
Yeah. I do think this is just such a. So the question I keep getting all the time is why do we need all these things when we never needed them before, right? Mm-hmm. The church didn't have men's groups. The church didn't need this stuff. And my sense is that because men are lacking fathers. Mm-hmm. And there's so much behind this. Feminism, this idea that men and women are interchangeable and they're the same.
Yep.
And then we just have had this. I don't think, I know it sounds insulting, and it should sound insulting, the feminization of the church and the feminization of the ministerium.
Yeah.
And so you have this. Men and women are different. Yeah. And men communicate differently, and they think differently. We need women. God be praised for women. Would be living in Conan the Barbarian world without women. We need to be tempered by women. There's a lot of the feminine side of things, and the wisdom that women bring is essential for civilization and our salvation. But at the same time, we do actually need the thing that God created men for.
Yeah.
And a lot of that it's kind of harder,
It seems like it was kind of built into society.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and just in terms of how difficult work was.
Well, also just the fact, I think about the fact that, I was treated differently than my sisters. The expectations for me were different. And there was a lot of complaining about that on both sides, right? And I think that, this idea that, you raise boys differently than you raise girls, and that mom is different than dad, and the way you treat mom and the way that she treats you is different. And I think all of that's been eroded because we don't have men in the homes, we don't have fathers, and because we've been stupid and unbiblical in all of this. And so men need more desperately now than ever before ways to find this, and mentors, and external discipline, and brothers, and locker rooms, and places where we can speak as men to one another. Women hate it. I mean, Jackie, when my friends come over, Jackie will hang around for a few minutes and then she leaves. She hates it. She can't stand the way we talk to each other, the way we behave. She finds it, it makes her uncomfortable because it seems mean.
Yeah. Well, and I think, preachers for the past, since I've been in the ministry, and probably longer than this, have complained heavily about the draw of the sports.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because we haven't done and given them what actually sports does.
Yeah, that's right.
Like instead of just again, I'm not saying that them giving up the divine service to go play some sort of ball is right or good. But maybe instead of just saying that's bad, what are we not doing, or what have we not done or failed to do that they are finding there?
Right.
And use it as a critique for our own evaluation, right?
Right. Yeah. I think team sports are so helpful in so many ways, but I would like a lot less co-ed stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, Stecker's an impressive guy. He's so ambitious.
Totally. Yeah. In a good way.
Oh yeah, I meant that as a compliment. I'm impressed, and he's kind of a visionary. So I'm excited to see where this goes, even though I'm a little nervous that it's going to make my life harder.
Yeah. Well, I think, what I like about what he does is he gets an idea and he's like, well, what's stopping me from doing it? Let's try to figure out how to make it work. Instead of just, the normal thing is just to kind of complain about it.
Right.
That we don't have this.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
So, yeah. All right. So we're looking at Trinity 27, in particular, Matthew chapter 25, verses 1 to 13. I'll read that in the New King James. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. Now 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. Those who were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. But while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight a cry was heard, Behold, the bridegroom is coming, go out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said to the wise, Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, No, lest there should not be enough for us and you. But go rather to those who sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. And those who were ready went in with him to the wedding, and the door was shut. Afterward, the other virgins came also, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Assuredly, I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming. All right, so we've discussed this multiple times previously. Anything in the text that you wanted to bring out, or anything within the context of this end of the church year?
Well, I called Evan Scammon just before I signed on here to do this interview because I don't know how I never knew this. Luther, I can't find any time when Luther preaches on this.
Yeah, well, and all the notes say that, if it gets this far, you should go to these texts.
All right. So what he told me, if I'm repeating it correctly, the end of the church year was a bit sloppy and it just kind of fizzled out. I do know he didn't tell me this, but there was some places I've seen where they used the Sundays not used in Epiphany if the season's longer. Since Epiphany was cut short. So anyway, apparently during Luther's lifetime, it was a bit vague. And actually the Lutherans started to solidify things. So they added, was it the sheep and the goats on Trinity 26? Yeah. And then some other judgy text on the 24th. I can't remember now. And
judgy text.
The kind of texts that just make Evan's heart sing. And then... And then, but by the end of Luther's life, it seems like Trinity 27 with the 10 virgins had come in, and then of course Nikolai writes the great hymn by the end of the century there, so in 1600. So it did get solidified, but maybe not quite in Luther's time. But it does become a kind of particular, it sounds like Lutheran emphasis to think of the end times or eschatology at the end of the church year. And
so this is similar to putting Transfiguration at the end of Epiphany over the last Sunday, kind of?
That's what it sounded like. And putting maybe the Nunc Dimittis at the end of it's another one of these, because really the world should thank us for this.
For sure.
This is an impressive idea. He also told me that this text was used just about any time there was a female martyr or saint. So, I don't know if it was, St. Catherine or whoever, St. Lucy, they would use this text. So I wasn't prepared. I didn't prepare far enough out to have time to look that up. But he said you might be able to find a Luther sermon on this text if you could find a sermon. He didn't know of any off the top of his head. But
you'd have to search the Weimar or something like that.
Yeah,
There's nothing in English.
I mean, I don't know in these new editions of these new, there could be something in those.
Yeah.
But I don't know of one. I haven't noticed it. So there you go. So that's the, in terms of, so that's not text, but just kind of the day. I did find that interesting. Textually, I think we usually get into an argument about what the oil is. And then I hope I always say faith.
Yeah. I don't know that we've gotten an argument about it, but yeah. I mean, I think we've typically agreed on that, haven't we?
I don't know. I usually end up disagreeing with my earlier self, it seems like. So, who knows?
Well, that's very possible. I don't know what early you would say, but
I think I've been pretty solid on this one, but maybe not. Who knows? We got, I did think of one.
Yeah, because it seems as though like, what you have here is a description of the visible and invisible church, right?
Yeah.
At least how we would describe that.
Yeah.
In terms of, the foolish have the outward trappings or the outward look of the church, but they don't actually have the inward faith of a member of the true church.
Correct. And that's why, and I would say, it can't be shared. Right. So you do sort of have this doctrine of personal faith or individual faith. You can't believe for another on the last day. You can pray for them. You can witness to them, but you can't make them believe.
It always takes me by surprise because I've got this vacancy now, and that's why some of these podcasts aren't coming out like they normally do. But Bible class always used to be after divine service. And so it always surprised me about how offended the people were that the wise didn't share with the foolish.
Oh, really?
Have you ever encountered that? They're like, well, why didn't they just share it? Like, isn't that what we should do? And it's like, I feel like I have to go through the sermon again.
That's funny. No, I don't remember anybody ever complaining to me about that. I would understand sort of why they would, except, right, we can't is the point. Well, one thing I don't think I've ever thought of before on this, I was just thinking about, the difference between the wise and the foolish. And of course, the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord, being really the kind of most important passage about wisdom in a sense. So, the foolish don't have the fear of the foolish virgins are not afraid of there being any consequences of them not having oil. I mean, they don't have the fear of the Lord, so they don't guard their faith. They don't protect it because they can't imagine, there being consequences or being damnation. And I thought, I don't know, that's preachable because you have this kind of blasé confidence in the gospel, not the true gospel, but I mean at a societal level. Right? Americans in general, in my experience, are not in the least bit afraid of God's wrath. They don't think it's possible. A hurricane hits New Orleans, and the first thing that you hear out of the mouth of all the religious people, so-called religious, is there's no way this is a sign of God's wrath. New Orleans is not any more wicked than any place else. And there's a certain kind of grain of truth in this that, the Tower of Siloam, we can't exactly nail this down, that they're more sinful than other people, but we can and must say that this is God's wrath and a warning to us and a call to repentance, which is what Jesus does with the Tower of Siloam, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and to everyone, not just for the people there.
Right. That we should be like, oh, they're not worse than us. We better repent. It could happen to us. And, but so the idea that we would, not see a call to repentance in these things is the definition of the foolish virgins. They're not guarding their faith. They don't, and again, I know we harp on this a lot, but I think, the kind of idol of our adult children too. We need to be a little more honest with ourselves so that we have the right sort of urgency, that people do lose their faith. I think these 5 foolish virgins, as you put it, they have the outward trappings of faith. They look like Christians, and they're not tax collectors and prostitutes. They're virgins, but they don't actually have faith. Yeah.
It should be sobering to us, right?
Exactly. Well, that's a great tie to the epistle.
Oh, yeah.
So let's look at the epistle real quick, because we have talked a lot about Matthew 25 over the years.
Yeah. So this is what 1 Thessalonians 5.
Correct. I'll just read it to you here. Brethren, concerning the times and seasons, you have no need that I should write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, so that this day should overtake you as a thief. You are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and as a helmet the hope of salvation. For God did not appoint us to wrath, but to obtain salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. Therefore, comfort each other and edify one another, just as you are also doing. So there you got it explicitly, right? This should be sobering. We haven't been appointed to wrath, but we can't take this for granted. And look at this. They say peace and safety, and then sudden destruction comes upon them, and they shall not escape. I mean, there's some harshness in this parable, right? The doors are shut. I never knew you. Eternal damnation is eternal. There's not second chances. And here, right, this kind of harsh language. But you, right, it's not going to overtake you as a thief. You know it's coming. You don't know the times or you don't know the hour or even the day, but it's not a surprise that Jesus is coming back. And so be sober, right?
Yeah. It almost seems in the parable that they were unable to buy.
Yeah.
The oil.
Doesn't it say they came back with oil? What does it say?
I don't know. It just says they came back, doesn't it?
Just says they came back.
And he doesn't know them. There's nothing to light their faces.
Yeah.
It seems.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Right. So at the very last minute, they're trying to scrape up and purchase this thing, and it can't be bought.
Yeah. Well, it's also middle of the night, probably, right? I mean,
it's all closed.
Yeah. And, yeah. And of course, we just don't appreciate in the modern world darkness.
True.
Because, it's so, even electricity, it's so hilarious to me in a way that when the power goes out, it's like we just come to a grinding halt. The world lived without electricity for a long time.
Correct.
And boy, I mean, electricity goes out and we're just like, well, what can I do? I can't get on the internet, but I mean, darkness is really something. We had, I don't know when it was, but we had an ice storm in Fort Wayne probably 10 years ago. Maybe it was longer.
I remember that. I was here for that.
Were you? Yeah, it was. And we didn't have power for like a week.
I know. I remember. I had to live in the dorms with Lauren and both of the little kids.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was funny. Like you drive through town and, this whole section is just dark, and all these lights that are just burning constantly, even during the day. When they go out, it's pretty noticeable. And, it wasn't that devastating, but it felt like it in some ways. And we got tired of it pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we still have a little bit of that. If you go out in the country around here, it can get pretty dark and you can see the sky pretty well. But you're not that far away from a town. Right. Where you have, street lights and things like that.
Yeah. I'm just, for them to go out in the dark and try to find somebody. It's hard to imagine. It was just much more oppressive and dangerous than we think of it.
The other question that I always have on this is, do they come with oil in the lamps and it just goes out, or did they not even come with oil in the lamp?
I think they had oil in there. I think they were real believers and they fell away. So okay. I think they had oil in the lamp, but they had no reserves, and they didn't think it mattered. Mm-hmm. Right? They took their faith for granted. They took grace for granted. They couldn't imagine. They just thought. Right? They took God's grace as indulgence, and thought He'll just give me whatever I want, no matter what I do. Yeah. And they couldn't imagine it's possible to lose faith. That's what I think. Because I think the whole...
So this really kind of speaks against the once saved, always saved.
Oh, yeah. I think this is death to another place that's death to once saved, always saved. Mm-hmm. And
do you know, how do our opponents on this treat these passages, or particularly this?
Oh, they would probably describe it as under the doctrine of election, right? So they would just say, I don't know, but I would expect that they would say, well, the ones that had oil, that's not really faith, that's election. This is a terrible, the doctrine of election in Calvinism is really distasteful. The double predestination is actually, I think, blasphemous. To say, half of it is. To say that...
Correct.
To say that God damns people for His glory and to His glory, I find that that shouldn't be spoken out loud. That's a terrible... it's just horrible. That's so unbiblical and so contrary to the mercy of the Lord that endures forever, and He desires all men to turn and be saved, and the universal atonement and so forth. So, but the other thing, even when they, like in the Westminster Confession, their doctrine of justification is not based upon grace; it's based upon election. I don't know if you've read that, but it's not like technically false what they say. There's a sense in which we could understand that rightly, but you can see already there that it's problematic, because if the cause of salvation is election as opposed to grace, you've changed God's character slightly.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I mean, the Calvinists are maddening, to us, because they're so much like us, actually. They do honor the scriptures. They have the same sort of academic rigor. I mean, the good Calvinists, obviously.
Yeah.
And the good Lutherans, not the ridiculous mainline ones, but in either case. But so they're so much like us, and I think we have so much core. And Calvin is so good in so many places. But I mean, this is a real problem. I think their problem with the sacraments actually goes right back to this. I think the reason, because again, right, the cause of salvation is election, not grace. So why do you need a means of grace? Right? All you need are things to remind you of stuff. All you need are ordinances to keep. You don't actually have a bestowal of grace. Why would you, in a way?
So how do they understand grace then? Do they not understand it as God's divine favor?
Oh, I think they do. I don't know. I'm probably not being fair to them, but I mean, they're troubling to me. And there's a reason we're not in fellowship with them.
Correct.
I like them. I mean, they are probably the closest to us doctrinally. I mean, but it's just hard to take. I'm glad they believe in the Bible. I'm glad if anybody believes in the Bible, and that's a deep brotherhood we have with them. And I do. Even though it drives us a little mad, I do have a lot of respect and gratitude for John Calvin. And Calvinist preachers. There's been a lot of great ones. Spurgeon, quite obviously. Who's that guy in New York just died? Tim
Keller.
Tim Keller. Man, he was, so the world's been, and the church, I think, has been blessed through Calvinism in many ways. But this doctrinal aberration is very dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know much about Keller, so.
I like his stuff. I've liked a lot of it. I think there's things we can learn there.
Okay.
John Piper, as I said, and of course, everybody reads Spurgeon, I assume. Those are all good sources. I'm sure there's plenty of others, and I'm trying to think of who are, other than Tim Keller. I don't always know who's a Calvinist and who is. I mean, they're not like us in that they're not. Well, Doug Wilson.
Yeah, Doug Wilson. The guy who just died out in California. What was his name?
Oh, I saw that. I didn't know that guy. I saw people.
John MacArthur.
Oh, that's not who I was thinking of.
I think John MacArthur, and then, yeah.
Well, I get sometimes I think some guy's a Baptist and he's actually a Calvinist. That's what I was. So, I don't know, Russell Moore, is he a Calvinist or a Baptist? And
well, he was at, what is it, Southern Baptist?
Yeah, but I think the Baptist Church has Calvinists in it, don't they?
Probably.
Who's the other guy I was thinking of that we like a lot? Al Mohler.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's
Baptist.
He's a Baptist.
But he might be Calvinist.
Well, and the problem with Calvinists too is there's a lot of, they're not like us. Their confessionalism is not rigid. Yeah, they're allowed to take exceptions.
Okay.
And so I think sometimes you have maybe Baptists that are kind of Arminian, maybe on the doctrine of election, but everything else they line up. And the idea of confessionalism, I think we might be the only who else really has that view? I mean, the Anglicans don't take confessionalism with the kind of seriousness or rigidity that we do. The Calvinists don't. I mean, who else could really? You can't really do it if you're Roman Catholic or Eastern Orthodox. It's too insane. I mean, you can't really subscribe to all the canons. They contradict each other.
Right.
That's why you got to have a pope. And I mean, I think that's one of the things that makes it hard for us to relate to these other denominations and have these sort of talks. Because we're like, here's what we believe. Here's the book.
Yeah. Do the reading.
Yeah, and then they were like, "Where's your book?" And like, "Here." And they're like, "Oh, this is wrong. Oh, I don't believe in that part." What? How do I talk to you? You know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, yeah, the last Sunday in the church year, the emphasis here is on being watchful, sober, ready.
And I'd say faith as opposed to election, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Not that election isn't a real doctrine, but here, right, this is about guarding the faith, being sober, right, being prepared for the end.
But so election, now correct this if it goes too far. In our understanding here, election is a result of grace, right?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because he chooses us through these means.
Yeah. I mean, great. I would say for us, I think what we would say is election is grace. But then you have this difficulty in Lutheranism, right? That not everyone is elect, but everyone has been saved, right? That we believe in the universal atonement, and we also believe in the Missouri Synod in what's called objective justification, which is to say that Christ didn't merely die to pay for the sins of the world, but that all humanity has been justified in Christ, declared righteous. Mm-hmm. However, some people don't believe it, so there's this sort of contradiction. They reject it, and therefore they are not righteous. We don't talk about the righteous people in damnation. These 5 foolish virgins, they were declared righteous objectively on the cross. Their denial of this and refusal of it leaves them unjust, right? And so, but that's their fault. That's the sort of double thing. And, we allow these things to stand, this mystery to stand in tension. So I think we would say that, I think what you said was, I wouldn't say it that way anyway. I wouldn't say that election is caused by grace. I'd say election itself is grace. It is the gift that God has chosen us, and it's monergistic. That's the beautiful thing about it, right? That's one of the beautiful things about it. It's monergistic. It can't be in the least bit synergistic, because you can't choose, this election, this predestination and choosing. The other thing that's really beautiful about it is that it doesn't fail. Mm-hmm. I mean, the kind of evangelicalism in America does not tend to be Calvinistic. It tends to be Arminian. Mm-hmm. Billy Graham was an Arminian, and he's trying to get people. If you go to hell, it's your fault because you made the wrong choice. And the Lutherans are like, "Yep, that's pretty good description. Everyone who's in hell, it's his own fault." Mm-hmm. But then the problem is the Arminians go the other way. Well, and so the Calvinists would say, no, if you're in hell, it's God's fault. Right. He chose you for hell to his glory. So we're like, nope, we're with the Arminians. But then the Arminians go too far, and then they say, and if you're in heaven, it's to your credit because you were smart enough, you made a good choice. And then the Calvinists say, no, right? God chose you, and it's all monergistic.
And we agree with them.
And we agree with them. So we are this kind of, and then both of them say, you Lutherans, you're insane, and here's all the passages you're misapplying. And then we say, nope, what we're doing is we're going to only say exactly what Scripture says, and we are not going to, what's the word I'm looking for? Not merge them. What's the word? Make a match. We're not going to smooth them over and explain them away. We're going to let both of these. So God says that for God so loved the world that he gave the life of his only begotten Son, right? And then at the same time, he says, right, that these 5 virgins went to hell, and it's their fault. So we're not going to explain. We're not going to use one passage of Scripture to explain away the other. In this instance, we're not going to harmonize them. That's the word. And they think we're crazy, and does feel a little crazy. I think that's a fair, in some ways, reaction, but the way we get around it is we say it's not crazy, it's a mystery, and we're willing to allow this kind of mystic understanding to believe both things at once and to let God be God and to submit our reason in this regard to Scripture.
Yeah, and we're also willing to state that just because it was our choice to go to hell doesn't mean that it's necessarily our choice to go to heaven.
Right. That's right.
That the logic doesn't have to work that way.
No, that's right. Right. And we're just but it does kind of, if you keep thinking about it, which I think we should, but it does kind of make your head spin at times. And it does feel, I think it does require a certain level of discipline to hold these things in tension and to say, we've got two lists of passages, those that talk about whose fault it is that you're damned, and those that talk about whose fault it is or whose credit it is that you're saved. And again, we're just not going to reconcile these with a sort of, boy, my words are failing me today, with syllogisms. And I think this is, in many ways, this is a similar thing to what we do with the doctrine of the Trinity, or even the proper distinction between law and gospel. And not just the doctrine of the Trinity, but also the two natures of Christ, right? That there are these mysterious realities that exceed our ability, our capacity, and also our ability to express them. It's actually it is the best place to be. It's the right place to be because it's the ministerial use of reason, and. The Calvinists and Aquinas would both say we should have the ministerial use of reason, but then we would say, yes, we should, but you don't. To both of them, right?
Yeah. True.
Aquinas, when he talks about reason, he sounds just like Luther when he talks about reason. But then I think, in fairness, he definitely he's too Aristotelian. He goes too far on pretty frequently, I wanted to say a couple things about the Old Testament reading this week, too. It's Isaiah 65, 17 to 25. It's a beautiful, very familiar section. Starts out, behold, I create new heavens and new earth. And then you get this description of a new Jerusalem, and the voice of weeping shall no longer be heard in her, nor the voice of crying. And then the next section is really a description of the entry into the Promised Land, or the language of the original Promised Land, because you have all of this great grace gospel language about what is given to the people. They shall build houses and inhabit them, plant vineyards and eat their fruit. They shall not build and another inhabit. Right. And of course, what you had at the coming into the Promised Land is they build in houses other people, or they live in houses other people built. Right. Right. So you have this now here. You have this. It goes one level further because they didn't. They're able to actually build houses now and inhabit them without any threat. Right. And there's the labor and toil aspect of it's gone. So they get kind of the best of both worlds. I think that they're getting something that doesn't come from toil and labor, but which is immensely satisfying and which no one can take from them. So it's similar to sort of feasting and being, you can feast without being satiated in some sense. You can feast without overeating, or without losing your taste for it, we can't even quite imagine how this works, right? And that's the whole description there of all this great stuff. So not laboring in vain, bringing forth children for trouble, they shall be the descendants. And then, so that's the first half of it, this paradisial description of the new age that is sort of impossible to imagine. And then you get the new creation with such great stuff about the wolf and there's my favorite word. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together. The lion shall eat straw like the ox. So you have this restoration of creation again in terms of paradise with no death, with no predation, no carnivores, right? And again, no threats, of course, particularly to humanity. I've been talking about this a lot lately because, well, children are very interested in this, right? Will there be animals in heaven? Mm-hmm. And of course, a lot of times what they want to know is, will their particular dog be in heaven? And I mean, I just tell them no. I'm just tough like that. I think they know if we're lying. But what I always tell them is, we expect there'll be dogs in heaven, and there'll be a full creation, and it will be joyous, and it will be filled like it was, right? Except that, there's, you can go, won't it be fun to go pet a lion? And not be afraid of him, and he won't have any desire to hurt you. I mean, that'll be great.
That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah. So, you'll be
swim
fine
with the sharks.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I could ever do that, but maybe.
I don't know. That'd be kind of fun.
No, it will be, because they'll be sleek, and it'll be great. And then there's one other thing, it is a beautiful thing to think about, and I think it's a particularly important aspect. I mean, it's in the Bible, but also to recognize what will it mean to have dominion restored, and to be part of creation, not at odds with creation. You have that at the end of the flood, where the animals are made afraid of humans. I had to kill a possum yesterday. It was terrible, heartbreaking. I came out of my garage at 6 a.m, and there's a possum standing on the driveway, like coughing. And he's a big fat possum, I think they're kind of interesting looking. I mean, they're sort of ugly, but kind of cute, right? And so he's there like hacking, and he's not moving. He's just standing there. And, the lights came on. He didn't move. I walked up kind of close to him. He didn't run away. I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I left. He just stood there and kept coughing. I came back. That was 6 o'clock in the morning. I came back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And he was lying down on his side, breathing roughly. He's still there, but he couldn't make it any further than that. So I go in the house. I'm dreading going out there. I know I got to kill him. I come out. He's flipped over. So he's still moving. And then when I come up to him, with the means to dispatching him in mercy, his little legs, he's on his side, and his little legs start like he's running. It was awful. And of course he was afraid of me, and he had right to be, because I was there to kill him. But I didn't want to kill him, but I mean, he was dying. I think he must have got into some poison, but I don't know what happened to him. I've never seen a possum act this way, but he wasn't going to live. I mean, he'd only been able to move in however long that is, 6 to 2, 8, what is that? 8 hours. He'd only moved, 1 foot, and he couldn't. So it was heartbreaking. And what a terrible position, to kind of, I don't want to hurt this thing. They're pretty much harmless creatures.
Yeah. They're good at getting rid of insects and other rodents too.
So it's, this kind of, this is only because of sin, right? And, at least like if you're going to kill something to eat it, it's sort of providing some purpose. But, I don't know what he ate, or I don't even know if that's what was wrong with him. But that's terrible. I don't want to live in this world where we have to kill possums, And so I think this kind of description and the goodness of creation and the mutual joy that we will have it's an important reality, So the last thing in this Isaiah text which is also in the intro for today, is a promise to hear prayer. And here, really beautifully, it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are still speaking, I will hear. So it's describing prayer in the new age, right? Which will be a perfect communion, right? Because now, the problem, of course, isn't God's side of it. The problem's our side, right? That we don't call as quickly as we should. And he does wait for us to call. He does, in fact, chastise us so that we will call. Right? That's the whole point of the bronze serpent or the fiery serpents and these sorts of things. And he does often also require us, while we are speaking, he doesn't answer. I was thinking of the, like the Syrophoenician woman, right? He ignores her to exercise her faith. And so I thought it was kind of interesting to think about prayer in the new creation while you're petting the lions and snuggling up to the possums. You're in a perfect communion with Christ himself and in a conversation still.
Mm-hmm. So and dust shall be the serpent's food. They, namely the serpent, shall not hurt nor destroy in my holy mountain.
I think it's got to be the demons, that they're finally going to actually get their comeuppance. Mm-hmm. And right, there's no more harm. I think that's got to be an allegorical thing. I don't. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there could be snakes in heaven, just like there could be sharks in heaven that aren't. Well, I mean, you have that elsewhere in Isaiah that the child will stick his hand into the viper's nest. Mm-hmm. So you have a positive description of, redeemed or restored vipers there in Isaiah.
Yeah. It's singular, so it's definitely.
Yeah.
It's not the serpent's plural.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Serpent, singular, possessive.
Well, and the language of the dust being his food. I mean, that's the curse language.
Yeah.
From Genesis, specific to Satan.
Yeah. But
I don't know.
So is this not like the dust to which we return? It's a different kind of dust?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah. I mean, it's just got to mean that he's banished from the mountain. He can't hurt or destroy us, and he's going to get what he deserves, which is not us, but dust. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This whole thing about, I do find snakes particularly creepy. I don't like them at all. I kill them immediately. Even the nice ones, I don't care. I don't like garter snakes or any of them, so I don't want them around me. But I mean, do you think this idea that they were somehow more glorious creatures, like they had wings or they had legs? Do you give that any? Do you think that's true?
I have no idea. I mean, it sounds like it from Genesis, right?
It kind of does. I mean, and that's somewhat of a old idea that they were malformed as a punishment that Satan took possession of one of them or the form of one of them, and they all have to kind of suffer this indignity afterwards. But I've heard, it seems to me, it's somewhere along the line, I've heard theologians say, no, that's not it. They're just animals, and I don't like them.
Oh, goodness.
I don't mind bugs, but snakes, the way they move is creepy.
Yeah.
It's unnatural. To be, you know what I mean?
I don't know. Having 6 or 8 legs is kind of weird too.
Fair enough. I'm not a big fan of any creepy crawly things, but the idea of you go to the zoo and they got a giant snake around, and that they want you to touch. I'm not touching that thing. I've touched a lot of them with the end of a shovel, and I felt sad for the possum. I don't think I've ever felt sad for a snake.
Yeah, that's funny. So what do you focus on? What are you going to preach?
Oh, I don't know. I might, maybe I'll take off, since I've been talking about this animal stuff a lot lately.
Well, what if there is, so we tend to focus on the 5 foolish, and it's like, don't be like them. What if you took all this stuff from Isaiah and said, focus on these things? This is what it will be like. And that's actually what builds up faith. Well,
that's, and what we forgot to talk about was the hymn, which sort of does that. It's almost the best part of the whole Sunday is this hymn, right? Yeah. The Wake Awake. And, Nikolai ignores the negative aspect of this parable completely, which, I think textually, that's where it ends, right? I never knew you, the doors are shut. But Nikolai, it's all about the wise virgins and the joy that they have. It's almost like you only read half the parable, right? I noticed something in the hymn I had never thought about before. I'm not sure if it's intentional by Nikolai or not, but the first stanza is really sort of a law gospel presentation, right? You wake up, right? The watchmen are crying, awake, midnight hears, their welcome voices, right? The thrilling cry, then get up, you virgins, and then they leave behind their gloom, right? And they prepare themselves. So it's law gospel in the sense that they were asleep. And now there's this great joyous arrival of the bridegroom, and they're ready. And then the second stanza is all singing, right? The watchmen are singing. Watchmen don't typically sing, right? Oh, look, the enemy's coming, So there is
but it's
this.
Not the enemy.
Well, exactly. So and that's why they're sort of changed from watchmen to heralds.
Yeah. And their welcome voices.
And their welcome voices, right. Well, that's the sort of gospel side of it. So you have this sort of, a little bit of sort of law gospel, repent, believe. And then stanza 2 is all about singing, rejoicing. The Lord is coming, and he comes in the supper, right? Right. So come into the wedding hall to eat the supper at the call, or that I liked the old language of the nuptial hall, but the wedding hall is actually the church on earth. So you have this sort of law gospel. Now here's life in the church, singing and receiving the supper. And then the third stanza has nothing to do with the parable. The parable's over. And we get into really Revelation and Isaiah. So let all the heavens adore, let the saints and angels sing before harp and cymbal, one pearl, each shining portal, right? Joining with the choir immortal, radiant throne, and then the Isaiah, no one's seen the light, no one's heard the might, right? And then sing hymns of praise and joy to thee. There's even singing in the first stanza, I think, though it doesn't use the word sing, but when they say, the bridegroom comes awake, your lamps with gladness take, alleluia, there is this kind of spontaneous call to praise there. I don't know. I think there is kind of a sequence there, but the emphasis is definitely on music. It's such a joyful, and the text and tune are just matched so beautifully in this.
Yes.
Nikolai, I read this, Joseph Hurl wrote this stuff for this Concordia publishing house, the Lutheran, what's it called? Companion to the Hymns. It's super expensive. I probably say that every time. Because it is. Philip Nikolai.
And it doesn't even include the shipping.
No, I'm sure. Right. Philip Nikolai ranks as one of the most zealous defenders of Orthodox Lutheran doctrine in the 16th century. And I did, I'm sure I've read this before, but they talk about him. He was an experienced controversialist. In other words, he was obnoxious. And he was hard on the Calvinists in particular, but he also wrote his PhD dissertation on the two chief antichrists, Muhammad and the Pope. He was a guy after our own heart.
He would have been in the Gottesdienst crowd.
He would have been in the Gottesdienst crowd for sure. He did not. He was all about pure doctrine, and he was about pointing out errors and insisting upon all of this stuff. And he wasn't fully appreciated for it at the time, but we all sure like him now. But of course, I'd say Luther was like that too, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, a couple of things about that. I was surprised to hear that. I loved that phrase. He was an experienced controversialist. I think at this point I have some experience in that. But maybe at least the contrarian, at least. But I was thinking about this, how, again, the sort of effeminate kind of character of things, like we started this sort of, being so worried about people's feelings and so worried about the tone of things. And that really is a feminine virtue. It's a virtue because, it's compassion and it's nurturing. But that's like what I was saying. Like, that's why Jackie doesn't like to be around me and my friends, because it seems to her like we're being mean to one another.
Right.
But we're not, because we're men. And, the sort of trash talking locker room stuff is part of it. It's actually inclusive. But it's also kind of toughening things up and trying to get at analytical thinking and not emotional thinking, right? And I think that some of this, why do we need that? Because the work that we're doing is serious. This is, it's important, and doctrine matters. And I'm just thinking of all the times I've gotten in trouble, because they didn't like my tone. And, there's a place where that's a valid critique, like when you're talking to the Ladies' Aid. But I think we overuse that critique, when we're talking to the Winkle. And I think we overuse it in other places too. There needs to be a place and a way to have rigorous theological debate that is way less concerned about people's feelings. And I'm not saying that we disband that completely. And again, we need to be tempered by women. Absolutely, that's why God made them the way that He did. But at the same time, I think we've gone too far. And I think Philip Nicolai would have been a fun guy to be around. And I think the church has been enriched by him, even if he was sometimes annoying to his peers and his ecclesiastical supervisors.
Are you talking about Nicolai now, or?
Well, I am talking about Nicolai because we know he was good and he left a great treasure, and we don't know that about Gottesdienst just yet. Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell.
I would hope we would be, and that's not, again, right. That's not to excuse, crassness, bad language, insensitivity.
Sure.
Right. I mean, again, those things all have their place and have their validity, but we do need to figure out how to be men in this world and in this ministerium. And I mean, it's needed in a way like never was before.
Sure.
Philip Nicolai would have just squashed Brian Stecker. I'll just say that. He's way more of a man than Brian Stecker, and I don't think Memento would have been difficult for him. Take that, Stecker.
All right. But he probably would have had a good interview with him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think he would have.
Yeah. Well, very good. Any final thoughts?
Nope, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll end there.
All right, thanks.